and hello, ladies and gentlemen across the world. We are doing our monthly Boss Ladies Summit for May. We've got Belinda Paris and Christina Nava with us. How you doing, Belinda and Christina? What's going on, you two amazing ladies? Belinda first, what you doing?
Look, I am enjoying my time in beautiful sunny Tasmania at the moment. So we've surprisingly, it's not absolutely freezing just yet. Blue skies, quite nice and warm. So yeah, I cannot complain.
Oh, very good and great having you with us. And for those around the world, Tasmania is a small island on the bottom of Australia where that Tassie Devil's from, that crazy Warner Brothers character that always walks around in a tornado. So a bit of context there, friends. And we've got Christina Nava with us from the Northern Hemisphere. Christina Nava, how are you? What's happening in your world, my friend?
Oh, not a lot today, Ed. Pretty vague over here, but I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you both, Linda and Ed.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I just want to say a big thank you. Great to have you all with us. We've got Amy Hammond with us. Amy Hammond, you're one of our panelists. Amy Hammond, make sure you jump into our chat group and click the StreamYard link and come in that way. So we've got Amy Hammond watching, but no, you're one of our panelists, Amy Hammond. We love you. Now, today's topic is setting boundaries and enforcing boundaries and all that. And I know all of you personally, we've had a lot. We've always had people over the years push and test our boundaries. I want to open up with you, Belinda Paris. Tell us what boundaries mean to you, and give us if you're willing to, give us an example in your life where someone has recently pressed your boundaries and gotten the well-deserved wrath of you.
That's a really interesting topic, and I think it's something that is in today's modern world is becoming a lot more important, because at the end of the day, we're contactable 24/7. And especially if you're running a business, or even if you're in corporate, it's something that I've had to really dial in on over the last few years. And I've gone from being a people pleaser to working out very much what my values are, and making sure that my boundaries are aligned with that. So I think recently it's probably been more in my personal life. It's when I've had people who have come in and they get to a point where what they're doing is no longer aligned to what I feel is in my best purpose. Best purpose. So, I've had a number of friends that have dropped off in recent years, but it's actually been a blessing, and I've been able to attract, like-minded people who are, have the same values and passion and are driven like I am. So, I can't say there's been a specific example, but it's probably been more an overall thing.
Now, that's a great one. Is that because you've changed, they're dropping off and new ones are coming in, or is that because you're hitting them with a proverbial baseball bat?
No, I think I've for many years, I would say I was very much a people pleaser. So it was, and being someone who I guess is attuned to people and sees themselves as quite empathetic. It was, people would come in, and it was almost a case of, if people came in with the same problems over and over again, but weren't willing to put in the work to make the change, then I kind of sort of shut them out and went, do you know what? I can't be here to listen to you go through the same thing over and over again, because you know what's best in your life, and you know what you should actually do. But if you're not willing to do the work and to get to that place, then I'm sorry, it's no longer aligned with who I am now.
I love it.
I think that was maturity.
Oh, that's a great boundary. Belinda Paris, you set things up nicely. Round of applause to you, Belinda Paris, and we love it. We're going to hear from Christina Nava shortly, but we've just had Amy come in. Amy, we'll give you a big wave. We'll let you settle in, Amy. Amy's in the beautiful streets of Florida, of course. Let's hear from Christina Nava. Christina Nava, you are amazing. Hey, please, great having you with us. Tell us about what boundaries mean to you, and give us an example, or a few if you feel as if doing so.
Thank you, Ed. I love what Belinda had to say. I thought that was really, really important. Boundaries for me come from the inside out. I've had to learn just exactly what Belinda was just saying. Tired of hearing the repetitive stories. That was me. That was me in that cycle of telling the same story and not, my poor family friends had to hear it over and over, but I wasn't willing to do anything about it. But so it's taken me many, many years to learn boundaries, and I'm still learning boundaries as we speak. From the inside out family, and then I'm working out to the to the big world. But it's been hard. Boundaries are hard for me. They're very hard because I'm very much a people pleaser. So
it's funny you're saying that. I used to be a people pleaser too, so I totally get it. So I want to ask you an interesting question, Christina. Where did the people pleasing come from? Were you brought up that way? Were you always told you got to keep everyone happy? Where did that, I suppose, brainwashing get injected into your head?
I just think that was my nature. I'm a peacemaker. I always want everybody to get along, and it wasn't always the case. And I think it's comes from childhood, probably. Basically.
Yeah. Now, when people press your boundaries, right? And again, we've all been having. I know we've been having a lot of personal chats about this. Everyone will test your boundaries, be it family, business, professional, whatever. When people have pressed your boundaries, Christina, what would happen? How would you react? Would you sit there and go rah on them, or would you quietly block them on LinkedIn when no one was watching? What's been your sort of MO in that regard when someone pokes the bear, so to speak?
Pokes the bear, so to speak. So I have a couple different reactions. I can become very introverted, or it takes a lot, but when I get there, you don't want to be around because I do have a temper and I will just let loose, so that's the opposite. I need to have a balance. And I'm learning that, I can teach others that, and I'm learning that myself.
One thing is, and I'm actually going to bring up a topic called gaslighting. And I know we've all been talking about a lot about gaslighting lately. And I just want to react to this, and we'll bounce back to Belinda. And Amy says, Amy's going to jump on her PCs and mobiles, not giving the best performance. So Amy will be in a bit later. But gaslighting, we've talked about this in previous boss ladies, is that you got a boundary, someone will press your boundary, and then when you rightfully react in an upset way, they then gaslight you, accusing you of, hey, you shouldn't have that boundary, or you misunderstood me. What's your reaction to gaslighting, Christina?
Oh, to me. Oh,
yeah.
I just put it right back on them. Actually, what I think in retrospect, looking back, yeah, that's what I do. I just I don't gaslight them, but I stand up for myself is what I meant. I stand up for myself. Basically, yeah.
Love it. Christina, round of applause. Love your work. We love Christina. And just checking in with our fans as well. If you are watching, you've got heaps of people watching. Big thank you. Please make sure you like, share, and comment. And we've got Sala Self with us. And Sala says, people pleasing, it's a childhood response. So Sala, we love you. Just come in, like, share, comment, and say hello. I'm keeping an eye on comments here. So gaslighting, Belinda Paris. It's funny. Gaslighting is a political term that's really come into mainstream. We've spoken about this before. Gaslighting, someone presses your boundary, you get upset, then they try and make you think that you're the problem. Tell us all about gaslighting, Belinda Paris.
Oh, I had a brilliant example of this a few weeks ago. It was a friend that I'd known for 20-something years, and we had a disagreement. And it ended up turning into something that was a lot bigger. I basically put my boundaries up and said, I don't actually appreciate when you do X and Y. And then the feedback I was getting from them, I just felt like, I ended up saying, did we actually have the same conversation? Because I don't recall any of what you've said, and what you've taken from, the conversation is not actually what I was meaning. And I've done a lot of work over the last 4 or 5 years in terms of developing myself and developing my my way of approaching things. And I just ended up having to block the person because we were just going round and round in circles. And as I said, I just felt like, were we actually having the same conversation? Because I did not pick up on anything that you're now coming back to me with. So again, it was just block. I cleared the energy, and that person is definitely no longer in my life.
Wow. So just as a recap, and that sounds amazing. So had a disagreement with this long-term friend, you brought it up. They kind of took your conversation, rewrote it, added a few new bits that suited them, then threw it back at you as your statement. So they straw-manned you with that, and then they wondered why you were pissed off. Is that a fair summary? Wow.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and very much like Christina, I am a people. My people pleasing comes from childhood. I will say I am a Libran, so I am very much the peacemaker, and I don't like getting into arguments. So for me, it's just easier to say my piece, and then, as I said, block and just remove that person from my life.
Oh my God, Belinda Paris, that's awesome. Love your work. I mean, sorry you had to do that, but your response is absolutely stellar. I can see, Christina, you nodding. I can tell there's something you really want to say. There's something bubbly. Tell us everything, Christina.
I always do that. I get really into what people are talking about, but
awesome.
I'm a Libra too, so maybe that makes a bit of sense.
I'm a Cancerian. Is Libra is that the scales justice one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. I'm a Cancerian. Anyway, continue. My astrology is pretty weak.
Yeah, no, I really didn't have much to say. I was just in agreement with Belinda. I was listening very intently. Sorry, I was nodding my head.
Oh no! Now, while we've got you there, Christina, I'd love you. I mean, you've had some crazy things happen to you, which, and I think you've absolutely powered through things. Tell us a bit more about gaslighting. When people, you have a boundary, someone presses it, you stand up for yourself, and then they just try and misrepresent you or play you, or they make you wrong for defending your own boundaries. What's your take on that one, Christina?
Sure. My take on that one is it's not very kind. First of all, we shouldn't be doing this to people. Second of all, it's becoming quite a thing, and probably has been for a long time. We just have a term for it now. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's funny, the whole term about gaslighting. It's been in politics forever, but in the past few years, it's really become mainstream, right? Which I find absolutely fascinating. And this brings me to the next point, Christina, that I want to bring up. And I've got this on my list of boundary things to talk about. So we've spoken a lot about how a lot of us are born with boundaries, or we're brought up to have strong boundaries. There's a lot of people listening right now who are massive people pleasers, right? Who necessarily are feeling the frustration. To anyone listening that's a massive people pleaser, what do you say to them, amazing Christina?
I would say you just have to get to a point where you absolutely are okay with yourself. You are okay. You learn to love yourself, and then it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You have the confidence, you have the assurance that you can speak what you really feel. And that's, for me, the bottom line.
Oh, well said, Christina. Love your work. And just a quick one, we've got Amy Hammond back. Amy's on her PC. Amy, how you doing, Amy?
So much better. Sorry for the confusion.
Oh, don't worry about a thing. Amy, we'll give you a moment to settle in. We're going to hear from Belinda Paris. We're talking about boundaries and gaslighting. Belinda, any thoughts that you have on your mind? I can see your mind racing with ideas, Belinda.
Yeah, I think I'll just resonate what Christina said. It's I guess for me, it's definitely been a journey, and it's been a journey of self-discovery as to what I stand for. And it is, if any advice I would give to people is, if you're feeling confident in yourself, but I guess also if you're speaking authentically and from the heart, and taking the emotional charge out of it and putting facts into it, then that's a really great way to set boundaries and to explain to people, this is what I will tolerate. And then if your boundary is pushed, again, speaking authentically, taking the emotional charge out, removing the blame, and saying, this is how I feel, and not being a reflection of them.
Oh, That's why we call you a boss lady, Belinda Paris. Love it. Powerful, powerful. Now we're going to bounce over to Amy Hammond, who's joined us. And if you just come in, my friends, make sure you like, share, and comment. I'm using my phone to keep an eye on your comments. We've been talking about boundaries. We got a little bit into gaslighting. So at the end of the day, when you set a boundary, people then poke your boundaries and then get upset at you for defending your boundaries. So Amy Hammond, we love your work. This is Amy's first boss ladies with us. Amy, how are you? What's happening in amazing Florida?
Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. What's been happening here is a very busy season for me. I've been, as everybody knows, I've been a visionary for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So I've been educating and learning from others who have had this as part of their path. And I've been advocating and I've been fundraising. So it's been quite a journey, quite frankly.
Yeah, and for those that haven't already connected with Amy, Amy's an amazing community leader, does a lot of goodwill for everyone, based in Florida. Amy, we're talking about boundaries right now, and I just want to check in with you. From what you've heard so far in your own experiences, what do boundaries mean to you? And do you have a recent example of someone poking your boundaries?
Oh, yes. Yes, I have.
10 a day, right? 10 a day?
Well, what's interesting is sometimes when you can call someone else out, they tell you you're gaslighting. And I love, yeah, right. And I love learning. I love owning and learning and owning my mistakes. I really, I find when people do that with me, just the respect, right? Tip of the hat to you. And because we're just human beings, trying to find our way in this, this, again, the word journey, the experiences that we're all just living as humans. So we make mistakes and we can misspeak and we can actually ourselves, we're all, none of us here on this panel are without stepping on someone's boundaries at one point, right? But you have to own it. And when you do, you can say, I'm sorry. However, I have had, yes, an experience where calling someone else out on, this is something that did not agree with me for X, Y, and Z, and them not wanting to own it, but then calling you gaslighting when in fact they're gaslighting your defense of boundaries, which for me personally speaking had been a process. So it had been building up, and like my boundaries have been stepped on quite a many times here. So standing up for yourself, it just requires courage. And sometimes you just say, I've just had enough. Well, and people don't like that. Some people really don't like that because you're taking away from them the gift that you have to give to them. And if you're saying that's enough, now you're removed yourself, and they really want you to be a part of the battle. And if I'm not willing to battle any longer, then it's frustrating for them, right?
Yeah, it's amazing that, and I got to say, your example is interesting, and this is what I think the big thing I found about boundaries, and already said it. So you have your own boundaries, be it they're soft or strong, whatever they are. Someone presses it, you bring it up, then they make you the problem for it. And I find as well another interesting thought: a lot of the people that will press your boundaries, they're all happy to press your boundaries, but the moment you poke theirs, that's a no-go. So I find the level of hypocrisy is quite interesting there.
Fascinating, because I'll tell you what I won't stand for is somebody screaming at me. That's I'm sorry. No, you don't get to scream at me for any reason that, first of all, that is unwarranted. Nobody is screaming. It's like, so when someone's just lost their cool, and then you call them out and they don't like it's I guess a bit of shame that they have to look at, right? And they're not ready for it. I don't know.
Incredible.
There's a lot of circumstances surrounding this. I was just I don't tolerate somebody speaking to me in a very disrespectful manner, and I won't tolerate it. So
There we go. Amy Hammond, that's why we call you a boss lady. Can we get up for Amy Hammond? I love it. There we go. And it's all getting, I knew boundaries would be a feisty topic. And there you go. Belinda Paris, you're amazing. Love to hear your reactions and thoughts to all the nuggets of gold Christina and Amy have presented us.
Yeah, I think I'll just add, it's also one thing to have your boundaries and to be able to hold them up. But I think Amy touched on a really great point. It's also then owning it when someone approaches you to say that you've pushed their boundaries, and to then honor what they've said, take it on board, and work out if it's something that you can work with. So I think it's also being able to honor not just your boundaries, but actually honor other people's boundaries.
I had an interesting one where I met a new person at one of our meetups, and they were asking me a lot of pretty non-PC sort of questions, and we're having quite a private conversation. And it went really well. And then the next day I got this weird message for them and them saying how offended they were by me. And it's like scratching my head a little bit saying, hang on, you're asking anyway. And I just said to the person, hey, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. And then they just sent me another paragraph of abuse. So then I just went to the block key on LinkedIn, and there it was. And I found that interesting, is like they gave me something weird. I owned it, but then they kept yelling at me. So yeah, it's strange.
They baited you.
Sorry?
You got baited.
I think so. I got played. So there we go.
Yeah,
Amy's gotcha. Right. They got me, which is very good. But that's why I blocked them. And just a quick reaction, we've got amazing Sushrita Deshpande with us, known as Miss Sushi, massive influencer from Singapore. Miss Sushi, we love you. So if you just come in, hit that like, share, and comment. And say hello. I'm keeping an eye on your comments on LinkedIn here. Now, Belinda Paris, I want to go back to you, right? And I want to change gears with the questioning here. I want to ask you, and you were talking about clearing the energy before, and this is one of the key things, is that when we're having our boundaries pushed, we're dealing with toxic people, we can get full of negative energy. We can get stressed out over time. Tell us a bit about that. Then we're going to talk to Christina Nava and Amy Hammond about that. How do we sort of clear the energy and stay sane as we're building our boundaries and keeping all the toxic stuff out?
Oh, this is when I go into the woo side of things. For me,
us. Give us full woo woo.
Look, for me, it's about ensuring that you're not holding on to that toxic energy, because as much as we can sit there and we can ruminate on things, but at the end of the day, that's just affecting your energy, and it's affecting the way in which your body is reacting to those negative emotions. So look, I will be completely honest. I generally have a number of crystals, and black obsidian's one of them. And if I have a situation like that, I will get my sage or my Palo Santo and make sure I'm clearing the energy. But I guess in practical terms, it's about just seeing that a situation happened and taking the energetic charge out of it, and taking the learnings from it, and what you can know in future, or how you will react in future. But I think, if you spend the whole time ruminating on something and getting more and more upset, that's not going to benefit you. So I think it's just about going, okay, the situation happened, there was a misunderstanding, this is the learnings I'm going to take from it, and I'm just going to let it go now.
Yeah. And in terms of what you're saying, in terms of the sage and the crystals, I think that's hardly woo-woo. It's funny, it's interesting. I love how you've got your own, what to do to help you get over stuff. So someone gives you a hard time, a bit of obsidian and a bit of sage will pick you up.
100%.
I love it. In my case, it's too much coffee. Belinda Paris, we love you. Round of applause. And Belinda, we love you. Everyone connect with Belinda on LinkedIn. Now, Christina Nava, over to you. When someone presses our boundaries and stresses us out or whatever, how do you recover from that? What are some of your thoughts there?
I've just learned, and ladies, I've just learned basically to not let it resonate. It really is not. It's. For instance, I'll give you an example, probably a heavy one, but right before the call here, my little girl's dad picked her up, and he's still harboring huge resentments and told me what a horrible, wicked woman I am. And yeah, because, and I just simply stated, just because, we have different ideas. I was a different person at 20 years old than I am at the age I am now. And
like 35.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah. So anyhow, for years, I let it infiltrate me and caused me so much stress, to the point where I felt I had to walk on eggshells in my own home. And you become like so tense, and it's so horrible for your body. Stress is such, as we all know, it's terrible. So now I can just literally, I can see things through a different perspective, and I can see that this is not a Christina issue. This is definitely some issues on somebody else's end. I'm not wicked. I'm very kind. I'm very, honestly. I mean, I can say that because I have a heart for people. I care about people, and that's just it. Bottom line.
That's the old trick. I think name calling is the oldest trick in the book when you're trying to shame someone. So if Christina's standing up for herself, I'll call her the Wicked Witch of the West, or whatever it is, right? I think it's just appalling. I was going to ask you as well, Christina, and again, thank you for jumping on the call. I'm so sorry this happened to you just before the live stream. I mean, you're amazing. How did you get over it so quickly? It's like, are you just bulletproof these days? Are you like, you don't care? Did you just instantly get over it? How did you get over it so fast and kick butt on the live stream like you always do?
Yeah, I probably just learning a defense mechanism, honestly. And no, it doesn't bother me anymore, and it would bother me probably if it came, I don't know. I don't let things bother me like that, anymore. I really, really don't. But what something that I've learned, somebody told me one time, and I've never forgot it, is that we teach others what we accept. Is we teach others what we tolerate. Let me start again. Well, you guys know what I'm going to say, but we teach others how to treat us by what we tolerate. And that just is so true.
Yeah. And it goes back to what we were talking about before. I'm not suggesting this, but I imagine if you called this person abusing you wicked as well, they wouldn't take it. So I find the people that press your boundaries, they don't like having their boundaries pressed. They're playing a very hypocritical, one-sided game.
Absolutely. I agree.
Oh my God. Christina, round of applause to you, Christina. We love you, Christina Navas. Strength and integrity all the way to the bank. And speaking about strength and integrity, Amy Hammond, what are some of your reactions to what you've heard? And I'd love to hear some of your amazing insights.
Well, for me, I'm very fiery. I've got a lot of passion in me. With that is I'm not so like chill out. I just let it roll off. I've got to go through a process. It's same with grief. Yeah. I go through a process. And it will take. It depends on how how violent, like getting somebody unloading on you and miscalculating and misjudging, and it's clearly at this point I do see it's projection. It's projection. It's and so with that, I no longer have to own any of it. It's, and I no longer have to invest in the emotion. But to get to that point, depending on, what's going on, right? So I have a few things that I do. I write. It's sort of like journaling, I have to write it all out. And that allows me to get some clarity. I find, I get very tongue-tied when I'm on these panels, even with my Living One Day Older broadcast that I do on LinkedIn every week. I have to go through the editing process because I do get a little tongue-tied. I feel much more comfortable writing because it allows me to breathe and to work through creatively who I am, the essence of my spirit. Because sometimes emotions can get in the way of our spirit, right?
Mm.
And emotions, we don't have to claim them as this is who we are. You know, it's a moment in time, and we all need to understand that everything that always happens through us, with us, to us, from us is just an experience. It doesn't mean we have to hold on to it onto our shoulders and drag it around and drag. It's once that moment is past, we all need to understand that it's past. And what we carry with us, the weight of it is something we're almost choosing, but really it's a process that we just have to work out. So I talk, I'll talk to a friend. I will write and write and write, and I will ride and ride and ride my bike. I love getting the energy out without and having music on and just writing and writing and writing. And yeah, it's a process. Same with grief. You know, if you ever are around me when I am grieving, there's a lot of writing and there's a lot of sharing, and it helps me with my healing. You know.
Out of interest, what are you writing about? That's you've piqued my curiosity. Are you writing cool stories or movie scripts or something?
No, I'm just writing out the circumstance, that how I feel and what I witnessed, and you know, and it allows me to get clarity. So as far as a book goes, you know, there could be a book out there for sure with all the antics that I've lived. But no, this is really about cathartic. It's a cathartic process that I need to go through. Same with with grief, like I was mentioning. You know, I look at it head on, and I just and I read, you know, and I read when I'm really hurting, because this is really pain when you feel that you have been misjudged and misunderstood and been attacked. It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. It's a lot of pain. So you have to, you know, work through that. And so I do turn to my audiobooks so that I can, because I love audio, and so I can get those messages, so I can start, you know, releasing. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, yoga, meditation, music, writing, you know, we just have to find what it is, you know, your crystals and smudging, and you got to figure out what it works for you.
Oh, Amy Hammond, well said. Give it up for Amy. Incredible. And Amy actually created the segue to our next point that we're exploring is, and I've titled it recharging. We've used different words like cleansing, recharging. And here's the big thing. We all set boundaries, right? We all want to increase our boundaries if appropriate. Someone tests our boundaries, and as we deal with that, right, it can leave a bit of fallout, right? And interestingly, Belinda Paris and I were talking before. We both started a health kick a few months ago. We're doing heaps of steps and exercise. And Belinda, I think that flows on to this part, recharging and getting over it. You talked about sage, you talked about crystals. I want to focus now a bit on the actual recharging after we set our boundaries and our boundaries get pushed. How do we recharge? I'd love to hear some more thoughts of you on that one, Belinda Paris.
For me, I am extremely fortunate because I live on quite a big property outside a small town in Tasmania of about 6,000 people. So, you know, for me, it's about going back out in nature. It's about moving that energy, because you know emotions are energy in motion. So it's about getting the energy flowing. You know, for me, it's being out in nature is extremely important. So it's about grounding, coming back to myself, and to be honest, animals. You know, I'm a massive dog lover. So, you know, if I find that I'm in a situation where I'm still in fight or flight, I'll be honest, I'll jump on TikTok. And even though I've never posted anything on TikTok, but I will look at like dog stories and things like that, because that, you know, they will always make me laugh. They will and it'll just bring me back and just go, and I say going outside, grounding, getting the energy moving, but then distracting myself by looking at, I said, memes or you know, TikTok videos of dogs doing silly things. And then, you know what? At the end of the day, things happen, and it's always a learning experience. What can you take from it? What will you do differently next time? And then just releasing it.
Oh, love it. And you just remind me of, and again, bringing up Lassie as well. Wonderful Lassie. If anyone's listening, connect with wonderful Lassie. Lassie created the Boss Ladies, of course, and that's why we're all here. Lassie and I were having a great conversation. So as you know, I'm a real cat lover and we've got a cat. And whenever, be it us or the children, if one of us is stressed out, the cat will always go hang out with them and purr. And Lassie looked up while they're doing it. And you probably know this one. When you're stressed out, your cat will actually come around and purr. They've actually scientifically proven that those harmonic frequencies actually help relieve stress. So your cat literally will take your side and absorb your negative energy. Have any of you guys heard of that one?
I have heard of that. And it does make, I've got 4 of those creatures. So yeah. All right, everybody. I hear your choir. Yeah, I agree with you. And when Belinda was going on, speaking of her love for animals and talking about the dogs, of course, then you brought up Lassie. And of course, immediately I'm
not
thinking,
the dog, as in my wife. Yes. As just elephant in the room statement. Yes, Lassie was named after the legendary dog. I just want to just set that record straight. So, elephant in the room. Yes, she was named after the dog because her mum loved that show.
Wow. Well, there's the whole cycle is just kind of come back around the circle. Oh. Yeah, I agree with you, Belinda. I mean, who can't agree with you with nature really helping you clear your head and ground you, whichever it is that you're looking to do. But definitely, being around, I don't have a lot of forest around that I feel safe walking around in. This is Florida, actually.
You've got alligators. You've got alligators and swamps around, right?
I do like our neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood. And I can go take a walk around the neighborhood, and we have lakes here, or I can get in the car and drive to the beach. You've got a lot of near you, Edward. You've got a lot of beaches and open water near you in Sydney. That truly helps. We all know that, the water energy. And so for sure, nature. And then the animals, absolutely. If we're so fortunate to have them so near. Taking yourself out, maybe to to just taking yourself out of your home and driving to maybe a city park and just walking around, the city park, just to clear your head out. Speaking of cats, I got one right here.
Oh my God. There we go. There we go. Love it. Amy, just incredible. And I love it. And we got Michelle Walker Katz with us. There we go. One of our wonderful friends, Michelle Walker Katz, is watching us. Michelle Walker Katz, we absolutely love you. If you just come in, like, share, comment. We've got about 20 minutes left. I want to bounce back to Christina Nava. Christina Nava, we love you, my powerful friend. I love to hear your thoughts on recharging. So once we got boundaries, someone pushes our boundaries, we deal with them, we push them out. How do you deal with the fallout of that and get back on track? How do you get rid of all the negative energy and the like?
I think just being around my children. I have 2 adult children and 1 small child, and they are, even my adult children have very, very, to me, pure hearts. They're very kind and very, very special individuals, as well as my little. And just helping others. And, getting out of myself, getting out of my own head is a good one. One other thing for me is just doing little things, because I've been so confined and controlled for so many years, doing little things, little steps for myself, because, even going to the grocery store was a big deal. Like I was control. Yeah. So, yeah. So learning it all. Yeah.
So just to give some context, you were so extremely controlled, right?
I allowed myself to be controlled. Yeah. I wasn't controlled. I allowed myself. Sorry, let me interrupt you and take responsibility for that. Go ahead.
Oh, love it. And did that come from the people pleasing? Was it the people pleasing that allowed you to be controlled? How did that mechanism work, if you don't mind me asking?
For so many years in the marriage, you mean?
Yeah, just generally speaking, because how did you, I mean, a lot of people have done it. I've done it. How did you How did a powerful woman like you let yourself get so controlled? Was it the people pleasing? What was playing out in your mind?
It was my loving my for me, in my twisted brain at the time, I thought I was doing the right thing because I loved my children so much that I wanted to be with them every single second, and I didn't want to be away from them. And I thought I could protect and I would endure all this on myself as long as they were okay. And I thought it was okay, but really, if I would have just separated myself, and they wouldn't have had to see, their mom stressed or all the things like that. So in hindsight, but live and learn, that's all we can do.
There we go. Love your leadership, Christina. I can see what happened. So in your mind at the time, you felt, hang on, if I absorb it, I'll deflect it away from my children. Is that a fair way of looking at it too?
That's a fair way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel able or confident enough. I didn't have enough self-assurance that at that point that I could independently raise the children on my own.
Oh.
And he was at that time more of a power figure, and I was intimidated, very intimidated.
Yeah. Christina, amazing. Good on Christina. Christina, thank you for your raw shares. Incredible. No, really love it. And this brings us back to one of the last topics that I really want to explore. And this will sort of lead into the close of Boss Ladies. And we'll spend a bit of time talking about what you'll do professionally too. This brings us into the close of Boss Ladies for setting new boundaries. So there's going to be a lot of you wonderful winners across the world listening right now who, be it someone in your life, be it a situation in your life, there's something pushing your boundaries and you've had enough. You want to set some boundaries and enforce them. So that's what we're going to finish off on. We're going to speak to our legendary panels on this one. So Belinda Paris, over to you. Love to hear some of your thoughts and reactions. How do we set new boundaries and enforce them here onwards?
That's a really interesting question. I think it's about having clear and honest communication and ensuring that you speak honestly, authentically, and I think I said it before, but removing the emotion and not making it about that person, but making sure that you're communicating that you have to honor your beliefs and your values and your boundaries, and it's not a reflection of them. It is something that you are putting out to everyone. So it's about, whether it be, for me when I'm working with clients or, when I'm dealing with family or partners or friends, obviously there's going to be different boundaries for each area, but making sure that you're not making it about the other person. So the other person isn't feeling attacked when you're actually standing up for yourself, but by owning it, making sure that you are communicating this is how you feel, not necessarily about their action, if that makes sense. So removing the emotion from it and just and stating facts.
I like it. So you're saying, in other words, the boundary's about you, not them. So it's not so much you did this wrong thing to me and you suck. It's like, wait a second, that's not quite compatible with the way I move, sort of thing. So it's more about your boundary. It's not so much about their behavior.
Exactly. And, and if they do continue to push your boundary, then, calling them out on it. But again, just doing it in a way that is not attacking them as a person, because at the end of the day, a person is not their behavior. So it's by pointing out their behavior, but not necessarily pointing out to them, that they are a bad person. It's that their behavior is something that you don't agree with.
Yeah, and I guess it gives them a choice. They can either keep going down that path and see where it leads, or they can play ball with you.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think only the most unwisest of persons would cross Belinda Paris. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, look, I do have quite a high tolerance, but I've also learnt, and I think that it's come through, and again through lived experience and also a journey of self-discovery. I know what I'll take and I know what I won't take. And, you know, it's very easy for me to close down if someone is repeatedly demonstrating behavior that, again, I feel is not aligned with, you know, my purpose.
Oh, amazing. Belinda, well said. Round of applause to Belinda. Just absolutely powerful. We'll bounce to Amy Hammond and then Christina Nava. Amy Hammond, I'd love to hear some of your reactions to Belinda and what you've heard, and tell us about how do we set boundaries and enforce them moving forward?
What comes to my mind is maybe putting a question to somebody who's overstepping or expecting me to get on board with their story. Maybe asking them, you know, how do you see that serving me? Then they have to answer, well, it's serving you, you know, because really, isn't it about it's serving them?
Yeah.
So I don't know, you know, how, you know, because it's a curiosity. I don't know, you know, how is this going to serve me best? Or how's this going to serve our team? And then they have to answer how it will serve the team as opposed to their narrow vision of whatever it is that they're trying to instill upon us or me or what would
I like that. I just jumping in. I like that actually. Instead of like calling him out and saying all this weird stuff to him, you're saying, "Can you please explain that a bit more? Can you unpack that a bit?" Because I guess then they got to expose their BS position that makes no sense.
Well, yeah. Then it's you know, okay, how are you going to get yourself out of that paper bag? You know, and it's not even a gotcha. Just it's a genuine question. Okay, that's you know, you know, I remember somebody at work expecting everybody. This is the kookiest thing. You know, it was a co-op, if you will. You know, a co-op situation. So we're all equal, right?
Yep.
Great, we're all equal, but we all have different roles. It doesn't mean we're not. One is not above another. It's just we have different roles. So if you envision all of us running around in a group doing the same task, how is that going to serve us? And better yet, and what time are we going to get out of here if we all do these tasks as this unit, as opposed to individually taking care of business with the roles that we all were hired to do, right? So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but you know, it's how would that serve me? How would that serve the team if we all are doing the exact same tasks together? Because it's nutty, you know, it's nutty. It's
but when you say it out loud, it's ridiculous. Like,
yes.
how can any normal people think this? But a lot of people do think that way.
Yeah, well, you know, so who's going to count the bank if we're all putting, let's just say, the chairs on the table, you know, chairs up? Okay, well, who's going to, you know, do the other things that need to get taken care of? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, so I think just asking, how would that serve our team best?
I like it. I see it almost as a gotcha question. You should definitely be a journalist, Amy Hammond, asking gotcha questions. That's interesting, but how would that reduce inflation? That's interesting, but how would that reduce race? Anyway, there you go. I see that. I see you should definitely be a journalist, and you're the master of gotcha questions. There we go. Love it. Oh, we love you, Amy. Love it. Christina Nava, love to hear some of your thoughts and reactions, and also too, how do we set boundaries and how do we enforce them going forward?
I was clapping for Amy, by the way, not for myself. I was clapping for Amy. I always clap for everybody. What's the question, Ed? I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's all good. No, clapping for Amy. Amy's amazing. Now, I was going to say is, in sort of wrapping things up, Christina and everyone, how do you set new boundaries and how do you enforce them and move forward? What are some of your thoughts there, Christina?
How do I set new boundaries and enforce them? Just whatever. Let's see, how do I set new boundaries? Just depends. I think that would be, pertaining to different, okay, I'm tongue-tied like Amy. Amy.
That's good. That's good.
I know.
I'm asking difficult questions. That's why I'll ask.
What am I trying to say? Situational.
Yep.
I think setting a boundary would be situational. That's what I'm trying to say. Basically, I don't. Can you rephrase, Ed, the question?
Yeah, I'm going to ask it differently because I am asking
Please.
I am asking a different question. I'll ask it very precisely. What would you say to if one of your children walked up to you and said, "Hi, mummy, this person's giving me a hard time and I'm putting up with it." What would you say to them? Oh, well, your eyes open up. You're like, Mama Bear
I'm a
comes
mom.
in.
Yeah, I'm a mama bear. So I would absolutely tell them that they are not to tolerate anything that doesn't preserve their self. Respect yourself and don't harm another person while you're standing up for yourself. Be kind, respect their, try and hear what they're saying. If they're maybe there's something internally going on with them, but first stand up for yourself in a kind but assertive way. And that's what I would tell my kids. And just don't accept it. Don't be around it, period.
Okay.
You have to.
Christina, love it. Round of applause, Christina. There we go. Now, when I asked it in the context of Mama Bear, you instantly go like, no, yeah, tell her. My kids will say, blah, blah, blah. I loved it. There we go. Loved it, Christina. Now, friends, we're coming towards the end of our Boss Lady Summit. So if you are in, hit that like, share, and comment. Please say hello. And what we're going to do is we're going to finish up with each of our panelists. We're going to get a closing thought from them. And as well, we're going to hear very quickly about what they do professionally. So make sure you connect with Belinda Paris, Christina Nava, and Amy Hammond on LinkedIn. And Belinda Paris, over to you. We'd love to hear a closing thought from you. And tell us what you do professionally as well, Belinda Paris.
Yeah. So my closing thoughts on boundaries is as it understand from you, for yourself what you stand for, what you believe in, and ensure that you're communicating that consistently when you're going out, whether it be with family, again, with for me, with clients, so ensuring that you feel confident in it. And I think that's very much comes back to having that level of self-respect and that level of self-love and knowing yourself. And so what do I do? So I'm an executive branding and career coach. So I spent 20 years in executive recruitment, and now I work with mid to senior level professionals to really help elevate their resume, their LinkedIn, in a way that a lot of the time they don't feel comfortable in actually being able to do, or can't actually see what they've achieved and know how to articulate their competitive advantage. And then with career coaching, it's very much about ensuring that, when they're going out to the market, that they're aligned with, they know what they actually want to do. They feel confident in being able to explain to people that they're meeting with, what they can do and how they can help an organization, and helping them through the interview process to help them secure their roles.
Oh, amazing. And just so you know, Belinda Paris is a long-term friend of ours, amazing lady. Speak to her. You'll be very happy. You're highly recommended. Belinda Paris, thank you so very much. Appreciate it. And we're going to bounce over to Amy Hammond. Amy Hammond, love to hear any closing thoughts from you. And please tell us what you do professionally. Tell us about your podcast and everything if you wish.
Very good. Very good. So for me, with removing myself, well, I actually spoke ahead. First, I notice what I would say is if somebody's crossing a boundary, I would let them know that I'm not comfortable with it. I think it's fair enough. I'm just not comfortable with this. And if it continues, then I remove myself. So now you don't have me as your audience. We don't have me as your confidant. You don't have me. I'm removed. And if you want to win me back, then there's it's like, okay, where'd you go? Where'd you go? Well, I remove myself. So I speak up. I'm not comfortable. I remove myself, and I definitely, as speak very clearly about what I stand for. So I think it's pretty clear. But My going forward, I think, we have to remember that we don't have to lug all of this around. If we are being, whatever it is, it's projection. And the more we understand that it's projection, even when I'm in the wrong and I'm the one doing projecting, right? It's something you got to look at. We're all like sitting here as saints, right? Yeah, we're not all saints here, and none of us would, say that we are. So, being accountable for ourselves, but not to carry it to, move forward. And we're a ball of energy. We are experiencing life as one experience after another. And we just got to keep moving forward and stop looking back and letting the mind, keep coming up with the stories and what ifs and the what ifs and and that. It's just heavy, it's weight. So keep moving forward. What I do is I come from hospitality, and networking is my jam. And so I created a podcast. I call it my LinkedIn series called Living One Day Older for the 50 plus audience. I ask businesses to founders and entrepreneurs or leaders in the community, if you got a message that you want to speak to the 50 plus audience, who are spenders and learners, and then come on and we can have a 20-minute chat. I broadcast it every Saturday, Eastern Standard Time in the Orlando area on LinkedIn. And in addition to that, I am creating an affiliate partnership program that is a very small niche program. So, you've got those big conglomerates out there. You got your Walmarts of, affiliate programs. Sure, you can join them. Or you can join me and turn to my program if you're looking for somebody that you trust and like, and you want some, one-on-one recommendations.
My God, well said. Amy Hammond, round of applause to you, Amy Hammond. And again, Amy's an amazing lady, a great friend of us. And I got to say, I love your political activism too. You're totally in the zone. We can't talk about that here, but Amy's very active politically, and I love seeing your posts. I know you never know what Amy's going to post, but it always stirs the pot for positive change.
Yeah.
There we go. Love it. Big thank you, Amy Hammond. We love you. And we're going to finish off the amazing Christina Navik. Christina, love to get some closing thoughts from you and tell us what you're up to professionally, and love to hear more about you.
Thank you. I think that was a great topic. Thank you for allowing me to be on the panel and share my personal stories. And that's essentially what I do. I tell my stories on LinkedIn, and I have a lot of passion for some particular subjects: neurodiversity, inclusion. And I'm still working on my autistic drop-in center, which is not therapy-based. It is not behavior-based. It is simply a recreation center for families to unite and kids to play, autistic children to play without hindrance, if you will.
Wow, very, very noble. And I got to say, I appreciate where you're going. And as someone obviously who's neurodivergent over here, I totally appreciate that. So just very much amazing. And I think we're all neurodivergent. There we go. I know, just as a quick closing thoughts to neurodivergence, there are a few neurodivergent people here. One of our very good friends from Canberra, they did a presentation. They're a top neurodivergent campaigner. And they did this interesting presentation where they said, they're talking about boundaries. We're actually talking about boundaries here, but they actually did a 13-point checklist on, are you neurodivergent? And it was fascinating. I ticked all 13 with an instant hand up. So there we go. And bringing it back to boundaries, what our fine friend said then, especially if you're neurodivergent, make sure you have really, really strong boundaries, because they tend to push out boundaries a lot. So I just thought that was a fascinating honorable mention. But no, please, Christina, what are you thinking?
It can also go the other way around. So for those of us who are trying to advocate, if we have loved ones or we're learning neurodivergence, I'm in my opinion, I see it kind of becoming a trend. Not it become. Oh Lord, I may have said the wrong thing already.
No. Are you saying it's becoming
what
trendy to talk about? People aren't taking. Is that what you mean? They're not taking it
That's
seriously.
what
I
mean.
agree.
That's what I mean, because yes, no offense to anybody that's neurodivergent. Yeah, I'm ADHD to the core, as I've shared with you. So yeah, so anyhow, the point I'm trying to make is, these words and the way they want, people choose to be called and all of this, but yet want to be included and not offended. Let's not offend the ones that are learning and trying to advocate, because we have somebody special in our little, a tribe as well, so that's all I want to say on that.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. And sharing the sentiment there, it's always good just to be chilled, be relaxed, let other people, of course, have boundaries and enforce them, but also let mistakes slide at the same time. We all make good mistakes.
Yes. And I'm happy to correct. Oh, I'm so sorry, Belinda. Did I cut you off? Or Amy? Yeah.
No.
No.
Just agreeing. Yeah. You have to accept people, trying their best to understand the world that we all are living in. And it's sure is going at different phases constantly and different pace, quite a rapid pace. So let us catch up. It's okay. We don't get it, forgive me. How about some forgiveness out there?
There we go. So friends, there we go. Wrapping it all up. We've spoken today about setting boundaries, enforcing them, forgiveness, understanding. We've talked about everything. I just want to say a big thank you. Now, friends, as a wrap, please connect with Belinda Paris, Christina Navarre, and Amy Hammond. They're amazing people. Connect with them on LinkedIn and talk about great opportunities. And stay tuned for next month's Boss Ladies. Belinda Paris, Christina Navarre, and Amy Hammond. Thank you so much, and thanks to our viewers. Love your work, everyone. Appreciate you all.
You too.
Thank you all.